Hello everyone, it's Philip, and I have been checking out some poll statistics here and decided to gather some data from this Gallup 2015 student poll. Accessed that at, I think it was gallup.com. Can't remember if that's a .org or not. And just wanted to see some of this visually. It's nice to be able to look at data. The data was really surprising, but then to see it put out in this graph was almost shocking to see that. So these are some engagement questions, some questions that Gallup asks in its annual poll to try to put a number on student engagement. So at the bottom we have the grade level, goes 5th through 12th grade, and then the percentage. These are the responses scored for students who strongly agreed with these statements. So on the right side, I put the questions or the statements that the Gallup poll asked, and then the student responses and the percentage who strongly agreed. So we really don't know from Gallup what percentage agreed and what percentage were neutral. And I think that would be good information to have. Too much emphasis on this information can kind of scare us, but I do think it's pretty telling, especially a few numbers. Now, the good number that we see up at the top, I have a best friend at this school. We see 5th grade. That's topping out close to maybe 84%, which is fantastic. We want our kids to feel like they have a best friend at school. But look at what happens to this line. By the time we get to 12th grade, we're pushing maybe 61%. And that's the highest by far of these statements. When we look at these statements, these aren't, to me, these aren't just random questions. I mean, these are really important questions that I think are important to kids. They're important to families. They're important to teachers, important to principals. They're important to companies who support schools and organizations. All of these things would be things that people want kids in school to feel good, to strongly agree with. And I have a best friend, that's great. But look at this bottom one. At this school, I get to do what I do best every day. Now, some people might say, well, school isn't always fun. And for a lot of people, it rarely is fun. I actually left out that data. They did ask that statement. I left that out because that was pretty low, but it seemed like it was redundant to this one. At this school, I get to do what I do best every day. So that tells me that there's a really high chance that schools are not able to build on the student's strength, and we know that that really affects student engagement. Another one of the big ones was the adults at my school care about me. Drastically changes from 5th grade all the way down to 12th grade. Now, it's interesting that each one of these statistics kind of ticks up in that senior year. The thought is that they're getting so close to the end of the school that they kind of just, they feel better about everything. The only one that doesn't change or that continues to go down is that best friend, which is really interesting. So I hope you get something new out of these statistics, and it certainly, made me wake up a little bit and think, yeah, it's really important that we focus on this. Grades are important, but to get those grades, we may have to focus on some other areas too.